Hi.
Are we live?
Uh, yeah, but it's not updated yet, so I'm just gonna give it a couple more minutes, and then
Okay.
no, not a couple more minutes, like a few seconds. Yeah. Wait, why do I hear myself? I hear an echo. Are you watching the video?
No. I
Okay.
only have Windows.
Okay.
I mean Google Hangouts open.
All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. Um. All right. Sweet. It's working. Hey everyone. Sycra in here, and I'm joined by Zemfu Lee, aka Jeff, aka Bob Meatbag, and he's going to be drawing. I'm going to be taking questions and talking about stuff, and he's going to be adding his 2 cents.
Yes.
So, hi everybody. Hi, hi, hi. Hello. How are you?
How y'all doing?
How y'all doing? Um, all right. So it should be a bit more easy to, pay attention since I'm the one who's going to be taking care of the chat. But before that, I wanted to talk about milestones. And the reason I want to do this is because I get asked a lot about, and maybe I'll put this on the other screen, um, how to get better, and is it just talent, or is it um, you know you anyone can learn to do it, or do you have to go to school? And usually what I say is that, well, no, you don't have to go to school, and it's not all based on talent if you want to improve. um, but that there what I don't really cover is that I do say you have to practice, but what I start to think is it's not just practicing, because you could practice the same thing over and over and over and over and over again and not improve too much. And what I realized then upon reflection is that actually there are milestones that you need to hit, and you can practice to hit those milestones. And once you do, then you see drastic improvements. So, for instance, I posted a video a while back, and it was on foreshortening, and a lot of people seem to like that one. And it's probably because with that one, it's the type of thing that you watch it, and if it works for you, you do one thing, and suddenly that's no longer a problem. Foreshortening is no longer a problem. So it just solves everything in a way. And I've noticed that for me in my art journey, I've had a lot of those. But before talking about this, I wanted to ask you people in the chat, um, how many people are watching this video just because they like art videos? How many people actually draw themselves and are pursuing art as a hobby? And how many people are pursuing art as a career? And how many people are just, just watching it for fun? I'd really like to know what my audience is made up of. So if there's more people who watch my videos because they really want to improve and then become professional, or if there's a lot of people who just want to learn how to draw something basic, or so if you could leave comments about what your goal is, or if you are a professional, or if you're at school, if you're in art school, and that would be interesting for me, and that would allow me to perhaps cater to my audience a bit better, because right now what I've been going on is just making videos that I wish I had when I was starting out, and I've always wanted to be a professional, so I'm making videos from that angle. You want to say something, Jeff?
I'm concentrating on doodling. Don't
Okay.
bother me.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just heard something and I wasn't sure if you wanted to add. Um, okay, let's see. So I think this isn't updating. Update. There we go. Um, okay. Yeah. Okay, so career and for fun. Hobby, watching for fun, draw as a hobby, and I like drawing videos. Okay, so one person wants to become professional. You want to get pro. You would like it to be a career. Trying to be an illustrator. Applied to Crimson Daggers. You apply to Crimson? Oh, okay. Just joined it, I guess. Um, all right, so that's good. Um, it seems like there's more people who are hobbyists, and that's fine. Either way, these art milestones, I'll go over them. And these aren't every milestone. What up, Tyler? Um, it's just some of the milestones I have had, and you know, you might have them different. I'm just saying it as an idea of what you might want to consider. So, if you don't have some of these, or maybe you have your own milestones. Um, oh, so many comments now. Art as a hobby, you want to get inspired, gave it up for so long, wanting to get back into it. Ah, okay. Be a concept artist, art director, or mangaka. So yeah, this is a common one that I see is that people have very spread out goals, not really sure because concept artist and a mangaka is like totally different. I mean, I'm sure you could do both, but anyway, sorry for everybody in the world who this stream is late for. um, right now, I don't really draw in Photoshop, but I do create things. Self-taught, nowhere near hobby. Hobby. Draw for fun. All right. So going on to my milestones. I think my first big milestone. No, not maybe I could make a video on milestones. This is it. This is what you get. This is your video on milestones. Um, okay, so my first big art milestone was understanding perspective. I think that was huge, and I didn't fully understand it. It's not like, oh, I understand everything, but it's just I understood what vanishing points were and what the horizon line was, and then I understood basic 1 point, 2 point, 3 point perspective, and I learned that by just watching someone who knew perspective, and I watched them draw, because whenever I would just look at books and people weren't actually drawing it, um, I didn't really understand it. It just, for some reason, it didn't make sense to me. Um, but after seeing someone actually drawing it, it's like, oh, okay, I get that. That's fine. I sort of understand perspective now. And again, the reason I'm saying these milestones is that you could see that, hey, I need to practice, but maybe I need to practice to achieve a milestone. So it's not so scary about, sorry, it's not so scary about, well, I need to improve, and everyone's saying practice, but practice what? So you just need anything, you know? You don't have to practice uh, all these at the same time. It's just learn one, and then you learn another, and then learn another.
Also, you should learn what's useful to you. If you're
Yeah.
if you're just going to be a character artist and you're not going to do any perspective at all, like it's still a good idea to brush up on it because you might need to use it. But if you learn something arbitrary that's not going to apply to you at all, then you're just using up time that you could be doing to do something that's going to be directly applicable to your work life.
Yeah. Um, and then, okay, so then my next big milestone I have was learning basic anatomy. And I think I've gone over this before, how you can use Google and just Google image search different muscles, but anatomy books help for this. And in my on my website, there's like a resources section, and it's got a bunch of anatomy and other helpful links to learn anatomy stuff. Um, the next one was I saw the drawing from the right side of the brain by Betty Edwards. Does Jeff sound like a robot? Yeah. All right. Well, let's see. I don't know how to fix that. But anyway, that's probably just lag. Um, there we go. Um, what was I talking about? Yeah, so the drawing from the right side of the brain, what that taught me is to draw what you see, not what you think. And it also taught me about getting over symbols. So what I mean by symbols is sometimes you want to draw an eye, but you just draw the idea of an eye. Um, let me show what I mean by that. Um, so let me get a brush, 2B pencil. So the idea of an eye is something like this, and it's what kids draw. It's like a symbol of an eye. The symbol for the sun tends to be something like that. A symbol for a mouth tends to be something like that. But it's not what it actually looks like. It's just an idea. So then if someone says draw a face, they start sticking symbols together. So they might start with a circle and then they add two eyes, but really it's just a symbol for an eye and a symbol for a mouth and all that. Whereas, if you're really drawing a face and you understand things, you don't rely on symbols, you draw things based on what they would look like. So I would have an eye socket, or, um, you know, in this view, the eye is a ball shape and it's going to look like this or that. So then you're not drawing by symbols. Same thing, like instead of drawing a tree and then doing that symbol, I'll include an apple. You're thinking more, and I'm sorry for saying a lot. You're thinking more about the proportions and how trees actually work and branches and things, right? So that's what I mean by symbol drawing. And then the drawing on the right side of the brain fixes that. Oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't recording my screen. Oh, well, luckily I'm editing this whole thing, or I'll edit the thing later and then you'll be able to see what's on the screen. I hope. Should work out good. If not, I'm sorry. Um, so yeah, so drawing from the right side of the brain, I would definitely recommend that book. And then learning to draw with a graphics tablet. So that was another big milestone, is being, getting your tablet and then uh, seeing. Wait, why wouldn't it? Hold on. I'm just confused. Why wouldn't it show what's on my screen? Because technically I'm still screen sharing, right?
Oh, what's going on?
I'm just wondering why it doesn't show what's on my screen. Like, can you see what's on my screen
Um,
in the Google Hangout thing?
let's check. Yeah, I see your screen.
Yeah, then they should too.
Hmm.
Herm. Anyway. Anyway. What
On
are they
towards your
doing?
regular program.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing.
We apologize in advance. To
I'm
redeem our
sorry.
shame, we will perform senpaku.
Yeah, so getting a tablet and learning how to use a tablet, that was good, right? That was a thing that was hard. Um, and then it took me a week to be just okay, and I don't think I ever got as good with a tablet as I did on paper. There was a time when I was drawing every day, all the time, and I never touched paper. And then when I went back to paper, it was sort of like I'm better on a tablet, but it doesn't count because then as soon as I got decent with paper again, it was good. Um, oh, I have to click this thing, then I can click this thing, right?
I have no idea.
Yeah. I think I figured it out. I think I figured out why they can't see my screen.
Oh,
So when I
that we
was,
don't.
yeah, no, everything's good. So you just keep drawing.
So we don't need to perform senpaku.
No,
Oh, I have my samurai sword already. You know, it's
yeah,
oil too.
yeah. Well, we're good for now. But don't sheath it just yet. You may need it. You don't kill yourself with the samurai sword. You kill it with that small knife dagger thing, right? Anyway, I don't know. Um, so when I was talking about symbols and eyes, I was talking about this and the sun and a tree and then another tree that's not a symbol and a face that's not a symbol. Here's another symbol. Okay, that was moving on. Right? So you saw it now, right? Someone's asking, these are just doodles?
Huh?
I think they're impressed by your work.
Oh, don't be.
Seppuku. Yeah. Um, guy in the middle looks like a pedo trying to scam on the little boy on the left. Kinda does.
Exactly.
Kinda does. Um, hey, Sycra, I've been drawing since I was 5 to 6 years old. I'm 25 now, and as of the past few years since I graduated art school, I'm not happy with my art anymore. Any ideas, tips? Yeah, you're probably. Are you doing what you like, or are you, I mean, that's a big one. Learning to draw what you like to draw. Because sometimes what happens with art school, and even with not art school, is you get into exercise mode and you just do stuff. Paint a vase, do this, do that, and you're not really interested in it. And if you're not drawing what you're interested in and that you like, um, it can be pretty bad. Jeff wanted to perform ritualistic suicide. Yeah, when doesn't he want to perform ritualistic suicide? Jeez, Jeff.
I don't know. It's on my thought all the time. When I
Um,
wake up, I just see my sword, and it's like, oh, I want a special occasion. I'm just waiting for it. I have it prepared and everything. Give me a reason.
no, let's not joke about suicide. That's a.
Sorry,
I'm
viewers. Back to
sorry.
our
I'm
regular
sorry
scheduled
if we
programming.
are insensitive. Um, yeah. Uh, okay. So what was it? Okay. So after the tablet, I had another milestone, which was going from using only pencils, pencil crayons, pastels, and all that to using a brush, and that was a big milestone because I was afraid of brushes and paint. I don't know. I don't know why they scared me so much. Maybe just because it's different. But then once I got used to it, it's like, wow, brushes are great. Um, okay, but next one, getting away from oversaturated colors. That was a huge one. That was a huge one. I was always. Maybe you need a new page, Jeff. um, I used to, and so many people do this. So many people do this where they color an image, and I guess I'll just color my beautiful pictures, and they use colors that are just awful. And I'm not. I'm not making fun of you because I did too. But it's like, okay, let's do a tree, and they'll pick like this type of green for the leaves and like brown for the trunk, and there's an apple and they'll put red. I mean, this bad. That's real bad. But that's what they'll do. And getting away from that was a big milestone. Learning learning how to, you know, see things for what they are, and learning that you don't need to be on the super saturated side all the time. You can, so here, you don't have to be all here saturated. There's this whole area of desaturated colors you can use. And I think that was good in the beginning. And also starting not on a white background, because that was terrible. And I used to always start on a white background, and then learning that, okay, you can start on a desaturated background, and you know, your colors can be more mature. They don't have to be just really childish. And with paint, it's much better. Traditional paint, it's actually easier because you don't have to. You get to mix colors, right? Especially with oil paint. So naturally, you get more good desaturated colors. Um, Everyone's commenting on your drawings, Jeff.
Oh,
Uh, the glasses, facial hair, and other hair just caught me off guard. Oh, for the demon guy. uh, I'm a huge fan of Jeff's drawings. I just gotta say that he's amazing and super fast. Uh, Harakiri, yeah. Um, what's the difference between harakiri and seppuku?
oh yeah, that is an interesting question.
One's oh right. Hi, Ghost 59 Abel. Seppuku was originally reserved only for samurai, part of the samurai Bushido honor code. Seppuku was either used voluntarily by samurai to die with honor rather than fall into the hands of their foes.
Mhm.
This is such an educational stream. You guys are learning so much. Look at that. Yeah, so getting away from oversaturated colors. How did I get the color triangle with colors in Photoshop? Go to Sycra.net, and under resources, there's like painter's wheel, and download it from there. So www.sycra, that's S for Sycra, Y for Yasin, C for kakaka, R for rrr, and A for abdomen, .net. And then go to the resources section. Um, uh, Light touch. Yeah, so then the next thing that was a huge milestone was developing a light touch. And everyone that's not everyone, okay, let me rephrase this. People that have seen me draw sometimes ask about what do they ask about? They ask, what are my brush settings, and how do I get things to look light? And some of it, because right now I'm at opacity 100%, my flow's a bit low, but I could move my flow to 100%, and still my lines are kind of, I can go from light to dark. And that is because I learned to use a light touch. And this is really important with a pencil, and it also happens to be nice with a tablet, but it's also great for paint. And the way you develop that is through conscious practice. You've got to be thinking about putting down the lightest mark possible. So sometimes I think I mentioned before to think of it like ice skating, that your tablet pen or pencil is ice skating on the page and it's just moving really light and really fluid. Um, and so that's really important. And that's easy to learn. So if you're looking for a good thing to practice that's going to have really good results and you don't have a light touch, develop a light touch, because otherwise, when people draw, it is crazy. They will draw really hard and they'll press their pencil onto the page and it will look like an amateur and they won't know why. So this will help you if you have a light touch. And can I get a link to see more of Jeff's stuff? It's pretty dang interesting. Yes. Look. Wait. Should I?
Maybe you shouldn't.
Jeff
I
is
think I know what you're
really
thinking.
Jeff is really nervous and he's very shy and he doesn't like showing his stuff. The fact that he's doing this is really because he just, you know, it's all for you. It's all for you. I forced him into it, or I asked him kindly, and he accepted. But,
What you
um, um, okay. The demon with the afro is totally my type. Lick screen. Hmm. Hmm. Um. Is it weird that I like to draw more when I watch Sycra do it? That's not weird. When I watch anyone draw, my finger starts itching. I'm not good in English, so what's a milestone? A milestone is a stone that used to mark a mile, but it's okay. It's a big thing, an event. Something that happens that like, uh, uh, okay, if life was a journey on a train and you were going, the milestones would be the train station. So when the train actually says, "Oh, something new, something different," and then you go back and I don't know. I'm sorry. Anyway, moving on. Let's just ignore stuff and move on. Uh, oh, Jeff, you haven't done the Waspinator yet.
Oh. Waspinator doesn't like all the attention. Waspinator just wants to go away.
I forbid you from going away, Waspinator.
No, Megatron doesn't like Waspinator. Waspinator is loved by no one.
Oh man, I had a terrible thought.
Nobody loves Waspinator.
Oh man, imagine if Waspinator. Okay, this could be terribly offensive, but if Waspinator joined Al Qaeda.
Oh.
Waspinator, terrorize!
That'd be their logo.
Yeah.
The ultimate.
Okay. Don't you Oh, come on, source data. No, you don't. With a light touch, it allows you to, you know, be also controlling. You can control. Light touches are good. Mm. My drawing has improved, but I have a hard time capturing the exact likeness of your subject. Any suggestions? Yeah. It's one of my milestones. Alright, so after light touch, I have learning how to use your pencil to make very dark and very light tones and not just stay in the middle gray values. So so being able to draw light, it's really great because it offers you freedom. So let me go back to this. Not only can you draw light, but that means you can draw medium and dark as well, right? Medium. Because now I have freedom. Freedom!
Freedom!
So can draw dark. And so I have range. And that Oh, I was writing freedom, not. Okay, this is terrible. E. Free. Um. Um. And then using elbow and shoulder movements. I've talked about this a million times. So, source data, shut up. How do I like ban someone? Because I probably have to ban you, source data, if you keep on with that spammage. Um, so don't, and then I don't have to ban you, and everything's cool, right? Is Australia a good place for improving art? I don't know. I don't know. It's probably there's probably really great artists from Australia. I would imagine every with the internet, everywhere is great.
Knowledge
Um,
is online. You can search for it everywhere.
Jeff, you should just make a new layer. You got so many like pictures. It's so crowded.
New layer.
The guy in the top on your old one.
Huh? Which
Yeah,
one?
yeah. On layer one. There's
Right.
a guy on the top right.
hmm
That guy's really cool.
Oh, you mean the one with the
He looks
mask?
like a Sith.
Oh,
Yeah.
yay! Star
Anyway,
Wars.
um, measuring angles, the ability to see and record accurate proportions. So this is what I was talking about. How do you get a likeness? You got to learn to measure angles. Angles measurement. Um, so I think I've talked about this. If I haven't, what I mean is, let's say you see something and you're drawing from a photo, and this is a photo, and this is what your photo person looks like. Then measuring angles is the ability to draw like that. It's to see like, okay, so I have this angle and I can measure like that angle, and then I get this angle here and I can measure and put it in like that and like that and like that and like that and and then judge where is that circle in relation to that side, okay, and like put it here, u dot dot. It doesn't look the same but similar, you know. um so that's what measuring angles allows for, and that's huge. That's a huge milestone. um and then breaking out a symbol drawing, talked about that already. Understanding value, that's a good one to practice that. You just, you can do bark drawings and things. Um, how can you improve your color knowledge and understanding with color pencil? Uh, that sounds really difficult. It seems much easier to use paint, and I feel like colored pencils are just, people stick with them primarily because they're familiar with drawing with pencil, and I would recommend getting over that. Um, I'm a big fan of Sycra's elbows. Yeah, I was on a lot of elbow fetish sites, and they really like my elbows too. Um, I'm sure there's that for Japanese, and anyway. um, Learning how to draw using charcoal is really hard as well. Is he giving us a lesson on angles in a Romanian accent? I wasn't doing Romanian, but okay, I can do from Romanian. Maybe it's that one. It's a shame if I want to get education on what I want, concept art. I have to move half of my country, move to a new house, and spend around 8. No, you don't. Concept art, right? Concept art is tough, but there's so many people who are concept artists who are self-taught, and they didn't go to school. So
It's
uh,
just that you got to invest a lot of time with concept art because the knowledge you need for that
yeah,
job,
it's
for that career, it's immense. It's not just if you're a character artist, then You got to learn anatomy, you got to learn clothes, you got to learn all the painting stuff. But with concept artists, they need to know everything because they're not just building a character, they're building worlds. The knowledge that comes with building a world is immense and it's very difficult.
It's a very good point. There's two things that I think in the art world school is it's not that it's absolutely necessary, but it's that it's very, very difficult to do it without school. And those two things are to become a concept artist or to become an animator. Because animation, someone could say, well, I know how to animate because I've been doing animations, and it's like you very well may be able to, but do you know how to plot on an X sheet your frames? Do you know how to do lip sync? Do you know all like there's all this other stuff that animators need to know, and school does help for that. So for animation, I would say yeah, maybe you need school, and for concept art, the thing is with concept art, there's very few schools that are good enough to get you what you need. I mean, there's Art Center, which is extremely competitive. Um, Unless you're doing basic illustration, it depends. Like concept art for movies is very, very difficult. But concept art for games, I think you can be self-taught and learn that. Caricatures are very offensive. Well, source data. And I am your top donator. Did you donate to me? A, a few people donated, and I am very, very grateful to anyone who did. Um, Adam Adamowitz in here, he was my favorite. Oh, yeah. So we aren't getting Jeff Stuff's URLs. I'll put your DeviantArt, okay, Jeff?
Okay.
It's just
Nothing.
zenfuli.deviantart.com.
It's really not much impressive stuff there.
All right. And I'll have to write that bracket dot thing because it won't let me paste a link. All right. Yeah, FCD, Feng Zhu's design school. Yeah, I'm sure you could learn from there, but again, those two things are very, very hard without school. Um, Understanding warm and cool colors, I've done a video on this, and so I would recommend you check that out if you don't understand warm and cool colors. Seeing the line of action and understanding gesture and movement. This was a big one, and this is what I learned from animation school because I would look at guys like Glenn Keane, and it's the ability, I think Proco, um, from Proco TV, he did a video on this, or videos on like figure drawing, but it's the ability to break down movements into their big gesture. This is a terrible gesture, so let's delete that. Delete. No, there, you're gone now. Let's say someone's like crouching and you get their gesture. Something like that, I don't know. Right? So that's a terribly messy drawing, but you have a gesture to it. Getting bored, Jeff?
Hmm.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm fine. It's just sketching. I have to
Yeah.
make this entertaining for you people. Are you
That's
not entertained?
it's a really cool picture though.
Are you not entertained?
It's like a blue whale breaching or something.
Yeah.
That's nice. Um, Give me a shout out. Okay, the Mr. Kellogg's. Can you say hi to me? Thanks. Oh, you you really wanted me to say hi to you. Well, now I did. Hi, the Mr. Kellogg's. Seeing line of action, seeing form and 3D shapes on a 2D surface. This is super hard, and this does seem to draw a lot. draw tons and tons and tons and tons, and then you can eventually see form. The way I learned to see form is that I would draw pictures of my face, and then I would, oh, you're so self-absorbed. No, I've mentioned the importance of self-portraits. And yeah, I know Jeff's artwork's freaking good. He's so much better than I am, and it's just amazing.
No.
And he's like so much younger than I am too. Oh.
No. Don't say
Um,
that.
well, what? Am I younger than you? You are younger than me. You're what? Like 8 years younger than me?
Oh.
They are entertained, Jeff. They are
Wow.
entertained. Will
I'm,
you guys sing a duet for us? That would be awful.
yes.
That would increase the number of seppu.
Finish that train of thought.
Are you
Finish it.
kidding? uh, wow, I really like this picture. You should upload your stuff to DeviantArt because this one is really nice. I'm your biggest Korean fan, Sycra. Thank you. Thank you. Um, yeah, so seeing form, that's super important. And once you do that, you'll feel a big difference, but that comes from a long time. But anyway, I was mentioning I would draw my face and then I would turn my face and then draw it again, then turn it and then draw it again till like you look at the nose and it's almost like you can see each frame and then something clicked in my head and I could see all the frames became like a 3D model. And I'm like, oh, whoa, I can turn this in my head. Yeah, I know. The whale has teeth. They're gonna They're gonna be mad, Jeff. Whales don't. Your whale has teeth, but blue whales don't have teeth like that.
I was trying to make it into something else, but then it just turned into a whale.
Whale,
I'm,
whale, whale.
I'm so sorry. Anyways, keep going, keep going.
So after that, that also helped me understand the planes of the face. Will you draw a duet for us? Sycra and Jeff cooking hour. You and Jeff holding hands. What is this?
What's going on? What's going on?
Oh, it's because I was complimenting you on your art.
Oh.
And now they think we're gay lovers.
It's a secret.
It's not a secret. uh, so you did all the self-portraits in front of a mirror? Yeah, pretty much. My kitten is watching your stream, guys. She loves you. Great! Yay! I'm so nervous. Learning how to exaggerate was really important, and you can once you get that, that helps a lot. Waffle, tell me what to draw next, please. I'm all out of ideas. Easier to have a goal. Okay, Jeff.
Hmm.
Give Waffle a suggestion of what to draw next.
What to draw next? I don't know. That depends. Like, just draw something you like. You know, take a look at art online. Take a look at real life. Anything that draws your interest. You know, if you're in a block, like if you don't really know what to draw next, you just look for inspiration. You know, and sometimes you just have to keep going and draw whatever. You know, just whatever's into your head and stuff like that. Like this, for me, whenever I have problems drawing, I know I always hit a wall, and it takes a while before inspiration comes. You know, but you just keep drawing, and then eventually something will come. Like this entire drawing, I came on it by accident. You know, it's just like I was drawing a bored guy, and then it's like, oh, I don't know, what do I draw out of him? And all of a sudden he's drawing himself, and then all of a sudden he's thinking of drawing something, but he can't. And it's just like, sometimes you discover things by accident. The main point is you just gotta keep going, you know. I can't really tell you what to draw because where you draw inspiration from is different from where I draw inspiration from. So just, you know, just keep doing what you do, and eventually you'll find something.
Or, Waffle, you can draw a seagull hybrid with SpongeBob, cross between a seagull and SpongeBob SquarePants. So,
There's always that too.
um, um, Ponies. Michael Guppler. You don't know how many people when I used to do my live stream like every day. So many pony people. I don't know what's this pony stuff, and then I saw it's like My Little Pony, and yeah, a lot of people are into My Little Pony, and I didn't know, and it was eye-opening.
Mm.
Another milestone was being able to visualize things on your page before drawing anything. This is something I wish I had for so long. I wish I could visualize things on my page, and I couldn't. And I would stare at my page, and I'd have an idea flash in my head, and I couldn't put it down on the page. And this, again, is just drawing for years. That's what will get you that, and that's, yeah, so years, not days. Sometimes people will say I've been drawing for a month and my drawings still suck, and I feel like a month is nothing. A month is like you need. See, I feel conflicted because for me it took so many years, and I see people who it only took 2 years, and then I guess they just work a lot harder. But yeah, a month isn't enough to see big results. Not at all. Maybe a year. Okay, let me answer some questions. Someone suggested you draw a panda. Are you a lefty or a righty? I'm a righty. Someone thought I was left-handed, and they saw a video of mine where I was drawing with my right hand, and they said, "Ah, Sycra, I didn't know you drew with your left hand." And then it spread, and people thought, "Oh yeah, he draws with his left hand." But no, clearly in the video I'm drawing with my right hand. So, but there are a disproportionately large amount of artists who are left-handed. Say Kipani is the bomb. No, say my name. Kipani. Hey, don't judge. It is funny. Does Sycra watch cartoons? Sycra doesn't really watch cartoons. But when it's like... Wasminator.
Terrorize. Ah, that was a bad voice.
That was a terrible one.
Yeah.
Mine was bad too. I've been watching some, but not really cartoons. I sometimes watch anime now and then. People were recommending I watch this anime, Attack on Titan, or Attack on the, or Attack of the Titan, something Attack Titan thing. Shingeki no Kyojin. Yeah. And that was, yeah. Hi, Sycra. I'm an intermediate level drawing artist. What kind of things do you think I should focus on to become a manga comic artist? I don't know. I really don't know. Manga comic. Well, oh boy. I guess study manga and comics and see what you can put of yourself in there, though, because it's, I don't know, it's
Here's the thing with the manga anime stuff. The style is very good, but the problem is that it's very incestuous in the fact that, like, you take a look at one style and very often you can see the exact same style somewhere else.
Yeah.
And it's problem if you get too absorbed into that, then you can't develop your own. You have to be very careful when you tread on that water. So if you want to become a really good one, first of all, find a style that you like, or if there might be more than one style that you like, but just look for the ones that you like, and then just see how they do things. If you like the way they do the eyes, the mouth, or the hair, incorporate that. But the best thing to do is, well, for me anyways, what I think is that you should find your own style, and then if it's more anime manga, then develop along your own path. Follow your own road and stuff like that. And when you're doing anime and manga and stuff like that, don't just draw anime manga. Learn how to do anatomy, perspective, painting, all that stuff. Information. You need knowledge, not just copying off anime and manga and stuff like that. Not that you do, but just know that you have to. Don't just focus too much on one thing. Remember that you need to learn knowledge. And the best way to become a really good anime manga artist is just, be yourself, stand out from the crowd,
Yeah. Um, Jerry asks, "Are your parents discouraging or encouraging of your art?" You want to answer that?
Me?
Yeah.
They're they're for the most part indifferent. Just as long
uh,
as long as I can make money and support myself, they don't really care.
yeah, for me, they didn't really give, like, I've heard of people who their parents are like, don't do art. My parents were pretty, uh, let's say hands off. I guess that's like neglect counts as hands off, and so they didn't really care what I did, and I don't know. Uh, yeah, it was funny. My mom doesn't know anything about art, and she would tell me how my drawings have no personality. And I thought that was funny because that's about all they had at that time.
Right.
I keep on giving up on any project I start, and I get artist block more often than not. It sucks. Is there a way to learn to focus on something to the point of not dropping it before it's finished? I don't know. Maybe don't focus on the results so much. No, wait. Focus more on the results? Oh boy. Moving on. Um, uh, I haven't done any Pencil King's work for a while. I've just been very busy with other things. Um, tell me what. Oh, been there, been there. How do you practice doing what? Daniel Cluster. I'm stuck with my drawing and I need to progress, but how? I keep drawing the same thing over and over in the same way. Just try drawing different things then. Um, how does one develop their own unique art style? You're in luck. I made a video on drawing styles, and I think the only way that I know is to understand things. I guess there's two ways. One is to copy someone else whose style you think is close to yours, and then start adjusting it towards your style. The other, and that's fine in a way, but it's limiting. And then the other way is to learn your foundations so that style becomes yours to control. You can have any style you want. Um, if you can draw, if you have really good foundations, then you can do whatever you want. But I think we all sort of know what styles work for us because I'll get to that when we get to the end of the thing. Um, Let me just finish some more milestones. Learning how to use saturated colors properly. So I mentioned I stopped using very saturated colors, but then part of it is learning that no, actually there's very saturated colors in nature. A lot of them are very saturated. You just have to use them properly. Using atmospheric perspective, that was very important. Look at Feng Zhu's videos, and he uses atmospheric perspective a lot, and it creates this light, dark pattern. That's really good for compositions. And more about compositions, I studied a lot of Craig Mullins with Jeff, and we learned a lot from there. Okay, so that's it. And then the last thing is remember who you are, Simba, so we'll talk about that a little bit. So do you wanna talk about it, or should I?
You can start off.
Okay, so Jeff and I feel like we've both been chasing artists we admire. For instance, we'll look at art that looks cool, and we'll be like, wow, we need to learn that. And so I guess I'll speak more from my own experience, but I would look at artists, and I would see they're really good, or maybe that there are jobs in that field. And I would think, oh, sweet, I want to be able to do that. And then I'd try, and I'd learn, and I'd eventually be able to do that, and I'd get bored, and I'd move on. And I'd try and learn something else once I found someone else who was doing something I was interested in. And I think it's quite bad because the times where people would be like, wow, that's really cool when I do a drawing, and they'd really respond to it, it was always the drawings that were easy for me. The drawings, like I do the scribble technique, and it's very easy for me. It's very natural. but I would look at people who don't do that, and I would try and I would want to be doing what they do, and I kept looking down up on what I was good at or what I enjoyed. Um, and I think this is a tendency a lot of people have to discredit or disqualify their own strengths. And so eventually I realized that the things I liked to draw were the things that were easy to me, and that was hard to reconcile because I always had this impression that art was hard and art was difficult, and that's just the way it is. That I need to force myself to do certain things. I need to force myself to do studies, and it's supposed to be painful. It goes back to that whole no pain, no gain mentality. And what I realized is that no, it shouldn't be like that. Art should be fun, and you actually should be learning, or for me, I learn faster when I embrace what I actually am and what I like. And what I like might not be something that I guess I would look at other people and be like, oh, I want to be them. I want to draw like them or paint like them. Um, but honestly, when I would look at artwork that I admired, a lot of it was stuff that I could do as well. I was just hard to it was hard to admit that because again, it was easy for me and I felt, well, if I can do it, then it must not be very good. Um, when in fact, no, that's exactly what is good is when you can do it.
Yeah.
Uh,
It really is the thing of with the whole style thing. It's before I used to think style was just it's a product of skill. It just happens, and that it wasn't really anything important. But it's not. Style is another world unto itself, just like perspective, anatomy, composition, all that stuff, and you have to respect it because there's so many different styles. There's the style that you have. There's like very famous styles. There's like Miyazaki. There's Disney and all that stuff, and all of that is its own world because a style can go very abstract, like Mickey Mouse. The ears don't work at all. That doesn't work in real life. But because it's an abstract style and it's an abstract world, you can do all sorts of different things. The rules are completely different than a realistic style. And what you realize is that that's another ball to juggle, and it's not just something that's like, oh no, I'm juggling like anatomy and perspective, and just style is just something that happens and I don't have to worry about that. No, it does. Style represents how you see the world. Style represents it's sort of your mark as an artist, and if it's very appealing, it's very helpful and all that. And I didn't really respect that because I thought the same way. I thought I needed to be very realistic in some ways in my style. I chased the looks of somebody like Craig Mullins or J.C. Linedecker, or even in some cases Bouguereau. And what I realized was that just because you admire something and you really like how a certain the works of an artist doesn't mean that's your road. That's who you are. You're getting caught up in the works of somebody that's really great, but you're forgetting who you are and what you really like to do. And for me, I had to accept that that's not the road that I'm going to walk down. And if I can walk down that road, but that road will be so difficult. And by the end of it, I'll probably just end up a mediocre artist because that's not where my talents lie. My talents lie in shape, energy, appeal, and that kind of stuff. And it went more along the road of something that focused more on my style. And then I decided I'm going to go with that. And it really is the case of don't get caught up in other people's works. Don't get caught up in this illusion of thinking I want to be the next this or the next that. Just realize that what's easy for you may be what's good for you. It's if you do a style that doesn't work with you, you're just going to struggle, and then at the end of the day, you might not even be as good as what you're looking for. Whereas if you just go with what's inherently good for you, you might make something new and something that people will like a lot.
yeah, Yeah, being yourself is really important, and Jeff and I struggle with this because, believe it or not, we actually have discussions before we do these hangouts about what we want to talk about and broad themes and whatnot. Um, and there's this thing of you want to say on one hand do things that are easy, but at the same time you don't want to be stuck in your comfort zone. So there's a big difference between moving out of your comfort zone and trying new things and trying to be someone you're not. See, you want to stay true to yourself, but you also want to push yourself.
Mm.
Um,
So what that could mean is, let's see, how should I say this? It's like when you be yourself, things are naturally going to be easier, but it doesn't mean that it's going to be easy, you know? It's like when I do the stuff that I like and that's very easy, I have fun with it. So I might not notice that it's difficult. Nothing is ever truly easy. You just might not notice it. And even when you are doing something that's inherently you, it doesn't mean you should just stick to that and not do anything else. You got to expand within your road. You got to expand within your world. So for me, I do a lot of things that's stylized, but I still need to learn the basics. I still need to learn the foundation. I need to know how to draw a hand. I need to know how to draw anatomy. I need to know how to draw perspective. I need to get those things right, and that's when you expand within your own world. And that's how you become better. So if just because you find out what you like, it doesn't mean that it's an excuse to not expand and to grow and to become better.
right. Yep. Okay, back to questions. I just graduated from school and applied to university to study animation. I made it, but the portfolio I sent was from 2 years ago, so I turned down the offer since I've become so bad at drawing. That's strange. There is something odd that happens with school, and that's this entitlement sense of people. And it's something that when I went to animation, I went to Vancouver Film School for a year to study classical animation in 2010. And in the beginning, people talk about what they want to do. And I see the same thing in comments, even here, where people are like, I want to be a manga artist, I want to be an anime artist. And people have these ideas of what they want to do. And it's sort of like what I heard is, well, the people would say, well, I'm going to be an art director. Yeah, I'm pretty good at that. I guess I'll be a character designer. By the end of the year, they realize that, oh, I'm not skilled enough to do those. And then they try to apply for those positions, and of course, no one wants them. A lot of people were like, well, I'm going to do anime. And then you realize there is no North for us. I'm in Canada, so there's no North American anime industry. There is in Korea, there is in a bit in Japan and stuff, but it's a case of not really here, and also there's a lot of competition for that even there, and the pay isn't that good, and that's why they can have it there. And then you get people who are just they've spent all this time in school, and then it's just let me get any job. I'll do cleanup, I'll do this, I'll do that, and then they end up sort of in jobs that they don't even like. And skill and understanding is important, and not getting into this idea that I went to art school, so I guess I'm good, because it doesn't necessarily mean anything. You're good when you are as good as professional works you see. So for instance, if you think, I don't know, if you have an artist that you admire and they're professional and you want to get the job they have, you have to be at least as good as them. And I don't mean to. I get worried because I don't want to put people off on one hand. It's this thing of I don't want to say art is impossible, and I don't want to say art is only for the talented, because it's not. It totally is not. There are plenty of people who aren't talented who are great artists because of hard work.
Mm.
However, art is really, 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 really difficult and really competitive. So it's not easy at all. So when I say you can become an artist, it's still really hard. And one of the things that's the hardest is probably being a hard worker, being able to put in the hours necessary. So I think being talented isn't important, but being dedicated absolutely is. Being able to tough it out. And some of it means, having financial support, because it's very difficult. you can do it. You can have a part-time job, but then you just have to know that, or even a full-time job, that you are going to not be getting much sleep in
Mm.
order to pursue your dreams. If you're lucky and you have parents supporting you, that's great. But too many people, they might have parents supporting them, but then they do this thing of, well, I'll go to art school. And getting into art school, especially the art school I went to, it was very easy to get into because they want your money. So it doesn't mean you're good, and it doesn't mean by the end you will have a job. Um, do you realize that your ing sounds like ink? Going, does it sound like ink? I don't know. If it was ink for me, it would be goink, but that's okay. I mean, as long as you understand what I'm saying. Um, all right, Jeff, what's your channel? Everyone wants to know your channel.
Don't really have one yet.
Don't really,
Yeah,
man. So tempting to just say it.
don't.
It's that he doesn't have enough stuff up there. Once he gets more stuff, he'll advertise it, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I'm
So,
I'm currently in the works and developing it, so be patient.
yeah.
You will
Um,
you will see it soon, or maybe later. But either way,
Sycra, what's your future dream job? Director. It's kind of stupid, but I want to be a director.
yeah.
And also, I don't know, be a published. Have my own IP. I've got lots of ideas and stuff, but anyway, and maybe make a school. That would be nice. Uh, I wish there was a place we could find a lot of high-res Mullins. Yeah. Well, Craig, the Good Brush has some stuff that's pretty good. Um, there are other kinds of art styles. Just to wait, what? Just I lost it. Hi Sakura, I love your how to draw videos. I have a problem drawing animals more realistic. Can you help? I have a video on how to draw animals. Sakura, you're going to be redoing some of your older video with audio. It's something I probably should do. I've been trying to. I haven't been making as many videos because, first of all, I don't have that much time. But then when I do have time, I wanted to do this whole video series on lighting, and it keeps getting pushed off or put off because I just feel like, no, that's not good. And then I go over it a bunch of times, and it never seems to get done. Sometimes I record things and then I delete them because they're just not good and they're not teaching well. So. Yeah, it's tough. How do you and Jeff know each other? We met in animation school. Do you also go to YouTube for art tutorials? Yes and no. I look at artists that do draw. I'm not sure I'm using them for art tutorials. For instance, I like to watch FCD, Feng Zhu's videos. I'm subscribed to a lot of people. I like Scott Robertson's stuff. Uh, you're welcome for the feels. Sycra, I have this tremor in my hands. Whenever I draw, I cannot get straight, smooth lines because of this. Is there some types of practice I can do to steady my hand while drawing? There must be. There must be.
Um,
Maybe. Oh, go ahead.
have you tried if it's your hands that are shaking, but I don't know if this will still work, but you could try your arm or your elbow more, and just
Yeah.
try to lock your hand so that you don't move your hand, and just use
Yeah.
elbow and arm.
I was thinking that, like, get a wrist brace, the things that, after your wrist is broken that holds your hand, and then maybe that could help. Because
Yeah.
I don't use too much of my wrist or fingers. I don't really use my hand too much when I draw. John K says animation is dead. Why? Why he's dead? He's not dead.
Yeah.
Animation is alive and well.
Yeah.
2D animation is dying.
Yeah. It's
There's
going very much into 3D.
Yeah.
But it's ironic because you need 2D animation in order to have good 3D animation.
Yeah. What brush is Jeff using to draw? Ha!
Default round.
Yeah. Would you want to be an art professor? I've thought about it, but the problem with art schools is that they usually require you to have a degree, and I have no degrees. is good for starting out. Definitely want way back later once I get blah blah blah. If I want to do weapon art, what's a unique angle to draw from? Uh, I don't think if you want to draw weapon, I don't know what weapon art is, but if you're drawing prop design like weapons, you don't necessarily need to do them in crazy angles. You need to show what it is.
Mm. If you're talking about like that's very much almost into the realm of concept art.
Yeah,
And that kind of stuff you need to know good design. You need to know how it's basically it goes back to the whole thing of concept artists need to know a lot of things, pretty much everything. They need to know the materials of metal. They need to know what a plant looks like. They need to know what a scene looks like. So if you're doing weapons, if it's metal, then you're going to have to make it look like metal. But it's not just making it look like metal. You got to make it look good. You got to make it look like appealing. And you have to know how to cater to your employer. If they want it to look a specific way, you got to deliver that look. It's that kind of stuff. It's not about just can I make it look cool in a certain angle.
yep. Mada Armada, how long are you going to stream today? I don't know. If it's really late, just go to sleep because I'm going to upload this anyway later. Usually what I do is I do the Hangout live and then I record it and then I take down the live one and then I edit it a little bit and then I re-upload it about a day or usually 2 days later. So it will be back up. If you miss anything, you'll probably be able to see it. So don't worry. I like to draw arcane and unknown weapons and armors. That's cool. Does your everyday life inspire what you draw or style? Hmm. Uh,
That depends. It's for me. I mostly stay indoors because I'm just drawing all the time. So I don't know. It's like if I go outside and look for something specifically, then yeah, sure. But yeah, it depends when you're talking about what you get from, because that's more of a like, where do you get your inspiration? I think that's more what the question really is. And inspiration can come at any time. It might not even have to be from real life. It's just maybe I'm watching a movie or reading a book or looking at somebody's art, or just an idea will come and you just might not know when. What's important is getting the idea down and then doing
yeah.
it. Because there's times where I got the idea, but by the time I got to drawing it, I either lost it or I wasn't interested in it anymore. I think I don't know. I heard this phrase somewhere, and it's not artists, it's writers. Is that there were somebody said that writers were just guys who got ideas, and then they were just smart enough to put it down at the time so they don't forget it, and then they could write about it and stuff like that. And it's very true for artists as well, because if you get the inspiration but then you become bored with it, then it's already dead. And it's so much of it is depends on the moment. It's like if you're interested in it and you're really into it, you can get into it, then your drawing will be very different than when you are trying to force it. But that also has to do with ability. If you're a master, then you can just jot down the idea any time, and it's like doesn't even really matter. It's going to be good.
Yeah.
So
Can you make a video about face planes? Maybe I will. Do I have to be perfect at drawing to be a 2D animator? No. There are a lot of people who aren't perfect at drawing and they're very good at animation. It helps both help each other. Drawing, you get better at drawing if you animate, and you get better at animating if you draw. But I don't think you have to be perfect at drawing.
and there's really no such thing as perfect.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Who's to say what's perfect?
Yeah.
Are Canadians really that nice? From my experience, Canadians are. So Canadians that have been here for a while, and where I live in Vancouver, I wouldn't say they're all that.
It's the culture is very different now.
It's changing. The culture's changing. But
Yeah,
once in a while, I'll meet a Canadian from like Winnipeg, and they're really nice.
yeah, and it's
But,
also It's also that it's like the younger people nowadays. They're not like I didn't really know what a Canadian was until I met one, and they were so nice and respectful. And you can automatically tell because they're really nice people. They're very considerate. But in Vancouver, yeah, things most of the people are very cold.
um, all right. Let's see. I like to draw pickles. Good for you, shiny Spartan. You're very good at drawing, so I suppose your pickles must be excellent. I want to be an animator, but I'm starting properly at 28 years old. Is it too late? I am a professional freelance illustrator, educated illustration, so I have that background. I don't think anyone can be too old. It's just that, let's say you're 18 years old, right? And you say you want to be a professional animator, and it's going to take, to get very good, it's going to take 10 years. To get decent, it's going to take maybe 4 to 4 years. Maybe 4 years to get decent. And then if you're 18, that means when you're done, you're going to be 22. And if you're 28, that means you're going to be 36. So it's similar. It's just that it's it's not going to be immediate. It's not like, well, I'm 50 years old, so I don't have to put in that 10 years to get good. No, of course you do. And that's why I think some older people get discouraged because they feel like, well, I'm old and I want to get good fast. Whereas you get like a 12-year-old who's just starting, and then by the time they're 20 or 22 or something, they've already been drawing for 10 years. And then you're like, oh, you're so talented. You're so young and so talented. It's like, no, they put in 10 years. If you got a 60-year-old and they put in 10 years, by the time they're 70, they're going to be just as good as that 22-year-old. So I don't know, just understand that it's going to take time and that it's going to take a lot of work. And if you want to catch up, if you're playing catch up, then that means you have to put in more work. And often, if you're older, and especially if you have kids and a family or something, and then it's just you have to put that into consideration that, oh, it's going to take me even longer. It might take me 12, 15 years.
Yeah.
You said earlier in your life you were a writer. Have you ever thought of continuing writing as an author or illustrator? Yes, but not as a full-on writer, but maybe if I ever make a graphic novel or something, I'd make sure I write it. I have a lot of ideas, but I have trouble putting them down on paper. They never look right. Any tips? I think it just takes a long time before you can do that. I still have trouble with that, though it's getting much easier. I'm finally, in the last year or two, able to have an idea in my head and then pretty much put down what my idea is. It's still not satisfactory, but it's close.
Yeah, I think every artist has that problem, and especially if you haven't gotten to a high level yet. Um, we all have ideas in our minds, and then I think a lot of us have very grand ideas in our minds, but we just don't have the skills to put them down and execute them. There's plenty of ideas in my head that I think, oh, that would look very nice and stuff like that. But when I try to put it down, it's like, oh, I can't finish this. I don't have the skills. And that's going to plague us for a while, until we get the skills necessary. And, of course, it's going to be hard work and time. And you just got to keep going at it until one day you can actually get that stuff down.
Yep. I live near Toronto, and people here are pretty nice, to be honest. Yep. I've heard good things about Toronto. I've heard good things about Alberta. Pretty much everywhere except for Vancouver.
Yeah, from
Jeff
what
should.
I've heard, Vancouver is pretty cold in terms of personality. Keep going.
Jeff should draw a little girl in these. Someone wants you to draw a little girl in heavy armor. I haven't seen King of the Dot. I don't know what that is. Jeff, the head in comparison to the body size reminds me of Hulk.
For which? Oh, this guy?
Probably the guy you're currently drawing.
Okay.
Jeff talks like Christopher Walken.
Really? I did not know that.
I'm currently using bamboo, and I kind of have a problem with controlling pressure sensitivity. Do you think switching to intros would help solve this problem? I used to use a graphite and I didn't notice a huge difference, to be honest. Like, there's a bit of a difference, but maybe it's something else with controlling pressure sensitivity. How's the freelance life going? It's the bane of my life right now. Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
Freelance is tough. Sometimes it's really fun and you're doing a project you like, and other times you're not. And yeah, hopefully you'll get a cool job soon.
Yeah.
What's the first thing I need to master if I want to create fight and dance animations? Master. Um, I almost sound like HK47. Master.
Master.
Master. Um,
Meatbags.
yeah. That's where Jeff got his name, Bob Meatbag, from.
Yeah.
Um, I think, I don't know about master, but you should get movement, right? Gesture, line of action.
Mm.
In,
Those are
in,
very important.
in animation. I've met a few Canadians that were over the top happy. It was kind of scary. Yeah, those are the Canadians I like, though.
Once when you meet the not so nice Canadians, the happy Canadians are usually the ones you want to be around.
Please make a video to show us your setup for your Cintiq drawing station, if I can call it that. Okay. I'll see if I can do that. Are there any good animation programs you recommend? I have to make a short film for school and I want to go with an animation. Are there good programs that are free or inexpensive? I don't know if it's still around, but a few years back when I was doing animation, there was a program called Plastic Animation Paper, and that was really cool, and it was free at the time. Ever since I've seen Kenichiro Tomiyasu's Still Life, I've decided to dedicate my life to being the best food artist ever. That's good. That's good. If you not just draw some lines and end it, you kind of will be awesome before you die. Yeah, that's true. Let's hear Sycra and Jeff's Christopher Walken impressions. I can't. I don't sound like Christopher Walken, so I'm not doing it. What is freelance? Freelancing is when you are hired under contract and not for a studio. So, for instance, Disney might hire you, hire a freelance artist and a studio artist. The studio artist would actually work at Disney, and they would get the health benefits or whatever, and they get paid a salary. Whereas a freelancer, it's just contract work. So you get paid a certain fee based on however much you get charged for an hour's work or a day's work or a week's work or the project's work, and you don't really you have to pay your own health insurance. You're just getting contract work. That's all. It's like a soldier for hire.
Yeah.
You're not. Yeah, you're a mercenary. You're not an army soldier.
Yeah. And you get to, for the most part, you usually get to work at home, so that's the plus. And if you get a lot of freelance work, you can make a lot of money. But when you first start out, it's going to be tough.
It's really hard as a freelancer, and it's like you're poor for a long time, and then hopefully you get a livable income.
Yeah. The best solution for that is just to get really good so that people want you, and then you're just getting work.
I want to be a Pokemon master. Any tips? If you want to be the very best, like no one ever was, I think to catch them is your real test, and to train. Anyway,
to train them is your cause.
Yes. Probably have to travel across far and wide. Anyway, did you guys try to draw porn once in a while? I know I do. I don't, but that's interesting because I heard from someone who recommended that if you want to be successful as an artist on DeviantArt, just draw softcore porn or something, and I thought, so that's what DeviantArt is.
Yeah.
Any tips for becoming a quicker drawer in general? A change of artistic mindset, a change of tools. Speed, I think, comes from repetition.
Yeah.
When you've done the same shapes over and over and over and over again, Jeff is super fast. He's one of the fastest artists I've seen, and he's even faster on pencil and paper than this. But
Yeah.
uh,
Um, for me, it's because I think for my childhood I doodled for pretty much 10 years or more, and for the most part I usually ended up drawing the same thing over and over again. And what happened was that as soon as I learned, or as soon as I became aware of drawing shapes, I realized that all those 10 years of doodling was actually me repeating a specific type of shape. And then once when I realized that and I could break down shapes and stuff like that, it's like, oh, this is easy because I've been drawing this particular shape, which is mostly just a bean shape, like that or something. It's crudely drawn, but that's the idea. But once when I realized I'd been repeating that for like 10 years, it's like it's just really easy because it's in my muscle, it's in my body. I draw, I don't even think about it. It just arrives on the page, and that's all from repetition.
all right, all right. I did like them though. You just don't see real happy, nice people where I live in Australia. Really? I've met some really nice Australians. Um, I've heard that most of the Canadians that speak French are mean. I think when I went to Montreal, they were mean to people who spoke English and nice to
Yeah,
people who spoke French.
there's a lot of bad blood between the rest of Canada and Quebec.
Or vice. I think it's the opposite. It's Quebec, who's mostly. Um, okay. Did Sycra literally compare himself to a mercenary? Yeah, because I'm just killing those deadlines. Um, Sycra and Jeff, are you guys a cat or dog person? Um,
Um, let's see. I've always liked cats, but I grew to really like dogs. But I only like big dogs. I don't like small dogs.
yeah, I'm not really a fan of. I used to be afraid of dogs because dogs would bite me all the time. I'm very anxious, and I think they read that as fear. So it would be like a bunch of people and me, and the dog would come and run up to me and bite me. Um, so I didn't like dogs for a long time, but then now that I've gotten bigger, I kind of like dogs, and I like cats because I don't like the idea too much of pets. I don't know. It feels weird to me. It's like we love you unconditionally, and just cause it's like babies or something, and I don't know. But I like cats because they don't seem to care.
Yeah, they're
And,
pretty independent, so
yeah.
that's what I like about them.
Um, DeviantArt has the worst porn port I've ever seen. Not that I watch porn or anything. Oh, so you didn't mean porn. I've been told by a lot of artists to draw what you like. So for about 2 years now, I've drawn fan art, but I don't think I've really improved. I feel a little stuck. Any tips to improve? Well, that's the thing. You want to do what you like, but at the same time, you want to be moving out of your comfort zone, trying new things,
Yeah, it's
right?
it's like I said before, you've walked down your road, you've created your own world, but you need to expand that world, so study.
Yeah. Have you ever worked in a studio, like not freelancing? If so, what do you think? What do you personally think is better? For myself, no. I've only worked freelancing. I just, I'm both Jeff and I are kind of recluses. We stay at home and just work, and I don't know. It's something I want to try at some point, I think,
Yeah.
but for right now,
Just like
I don't know.
it wouldn't be permanent. It'd just be a test, an experiment.
Yeah. Hmm. I've been told by a lot of artists to draw what you like. Oh wait, I've read
Let
that
me
one. I've only been begun digital art about 3 months ago. Ah, okay. And I've been practicing about 10 hours a day. What do you recommend practicing? I've been doing a bit of everything. Um,
Oh,
hmm,
that's if you practice everything, then okay. Here's the thing: all roads are valid. You can walk down whichever way road you choose, and it's valid. But keep in mind, it's just because you walk down all roads doesn't mean you get all the benefits. It's always a gain in cost. That's just how it's always been, and with life as well. So if you focus on, if let's say for example, if you focus purely on perspective, you are going to you practice every day, and it's nothing but perspective, perspective, perspective. You're going to get perspective pretty quickly. A couple of years, and you'll be awesome at it. The cost is you won't know anything else. So that's the cost. But you will be so good in perspective that it doesn't matter. You can get it in a couple of years. But if you do, let's say, everything, then you aren't going to get. It's going to take a much longer time. That's the cost. The cost is time. You do everything, it will take you much, much longer than if you focused on just one or two things, or even three things. So if you think that's the road you want to take and you want to practice everything, then sure, just keep in mind that the cost is it's going to take you a very long time before you
Yeah.
get to a professional level. But if you but you can also take the road. It's like, find what you want, find what you really like to do, and you can focus on that, or you can do whichever way you want. It's just that keep in mind, it's you gain something, but you lose something.
Yeah.
That's
So
what you got to be aware of.
if you can figure out what you want to be, that's much better because then you reverse engineer it. It's like, okay, if you want to be a still life painter, it's like, what do I need? Do I need line of action? No. So I'm not going to focus on gesture drawing. Do I need anatomy? No. Don't focus on that. What do I need? You need to know how to draw in proportion. You need to know how to measure angles. Maybe you can exaggerate if you want. You need to know how to get realistic values and colors. So, you focus on what you need. It doesn't mean you don't learn the other stuff. It's not going to hurt you, but you only have a limited amount of time in the day. And if you want to get really good at one thing, you have to make sacrifices. Okay, so Sycra and Jeff, who is the man in the relationship,
We take
hence,
turns. We take turns.
I cannot seem to get the hang of blending rendering. How long did it take you for it to become second nature, much easier? Well, blending is very easy for me because of the fact, or it's easier because a couple of things. Let me just show you. One thing is what I already mentioned if you've been watching since the beginning, I was talking about milestones. And one of them was being able to press very lightly and make light strokes. So then because of that, I can easily blend things because I have control over how hard or how light I press it. And you don't have to worry so much about opacity. I know, and then you can press Alt and select in between and do stuff like that. I know Psy helps with this, but a lot of what Psy does is it just makes things easy that you could learn to do anyway, and then if you can do it yourself, you don't need to rely on the program. For instance, Psy makes lines that are really smooth and really nice, and then people will say, well, Psy is so much better than Photoshop for making lines, and maybe it is, but you can make smooth lines in Photoshop too if you have control over your hand, right? So it's more a case of practicing, and you can build up your skill or not. So one thing I did to build up my skill with my arm movements is I spent 1 week and I told myself that I'm not using my wrist or fingers at all, and I locked my elbow. So this is my arm. Then I was drawing sort of like this, where I locked this. This area is all locked. And I moved my shoulder. So move that, and I moved this, my elbow. And then to make precise short lines, I used my bicep. And I would control, with my bicep, how I can make those precise lines. The problem is, well, at first what happened is I did that, so 3 hours a day I would do Pose Maniacs, and I did that for a week with this setup where I locked this portion, my wrist and my hand, and after the week I could make awesome lines. It was amazing. It's like, oh, you can use your shoulder now and your elbow to make whatever kinds of lines. And I noticed even when I did use my wrist, I could use my bicep to control tiny movements in my wrist. So it just became a lot easier. Recently, however, I saw a physiotherapist and he's like, "Your bicep's weird. It's got a little bump in it." I'm like, "Oh." So since then, I've been conscious about drawing using only your bicep. But it seems like he might have said there's like a bump in my bicep, but it doesn't seem to be doing anything negative. So I don't know. Maybe I just developed a muscle. Um, but yeah, that was kind of scary. Like, oh, maybe I did something wrong. Um, hands suck ass to draw. Can you draw us a few hands and give some tips? Yeah, I can do a few hands real quick. So for me, I have a tutorial on how to draw hands, and it's pretty similar. So I break it down into like a mitten shape almost. It's important to get this proportion, the proportion of I guess the palm. So if these are the fingers here, fingers, you want to get this part, the back of the hand, or the palm. Well, the palm is, the back of the hand is shorter than the palm. If that makes sense. So yeah, I get that shape. It's like a sort of like a spade or something. And then in 3 dimensions, it sort of looks like if this was foreshortened like that, and then there's like circles. I put 4 circles where the fingers go, and then I can sort of put those out. So yeah, I simplify it like that. But I've made a video on hands, so I won't go into too much detail. Guys, it's 10:30 here. Okay. Well, if you gotta sleep, just sleep. And maybe we'll end this shortly. Let's see. Any tips to going from line drawings to painting without lines, perspective, anatomy, etc.? Wait, I think I missed something. Oh boy. Any tips? Oh, here we go. Going from line drawings to painting without lines. I'm a bit late to the party, so apologies if this was already asked earlier. Painting without lines, you gotta think without lines. You gotta. One way is to use, so like in Photoshop, there's an easy trick, which is to use selection. So let's say I had my line drawing, and okay, this is my line drawing, and what is it? It's a face. Let's just say it's a face. Now, you see the lines, right? But if I make a layer underneath it, so this is on its own layer, I make a layer underneath it, and then I just use selections to sort of block out the shape. I'm going to do this really rough. And then I fill that. Oops. Then what I can do is paint without the lines. And let's see. So I'm doing this real quick, so it's not exact. But anyway, let's say I get that. And then I can put in where the eyes go. And I can put in whatever shading I need. Oops. So what I want to do now is I have the selection, so I'm going to create a clipping layer, and then I can sort of do stuff like this, where it's like I'm defining the form without concerning myself with the lines. And then what you can do is, in the beginning anyway, gradually lower the opacity of your line layer. And then each time sort of paint it in, so you're not painting in the lines anymore, you're painting in the forms. that make sense? Um, so I'm just dealing with forms now and not so much lines. And then as you put more information down, then you need less and less lines, and you can get rid of the lines. So, yeah. Oh, I was on the wrong layer. Darn it. No wonder it wasn't working. Anyway, it's awful now. Right? So now I'm not. Yeah, that's what I should have done. Now I'm not using lines anymore. I'm just painting in. And if I get too close to the edge because I'm on a selection, it doesn't really go over the edge. Anyway, awful. Oh man, I drew a really cool guy. Do you prefer drawing on board and pen or drawing via mouse? I use a Cintiq. Darn, it is getting morning again. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I don't know what that's like.
Price might not be the time to. Let's end this soon, Jeff.
Yeah.
Might not be the time to ask this, but I have trouble making colors work in a composition. Colors get too electric really fast and don't look well together. Any tips? Yeah, stay on. I made a video on coloring using a palette and a split complementary palette. I made one on how to draw and paint male lips or something like that. And those ones, and also there's one on how to use a painter's wheel. If you look at any of those, they sort of talk about how to paint and not do that. Do you guys still consider doing a podcast? I don't know. Thanks for answering. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Halt. If I have a small Intos 5, is it still possible to use the arm and not the wrist and fingers? It's much more difficult. You do need a bigger thing to use more arm movements. Otherwise, it's very, very hard. I know most of what you draw is characters. Any advice for drawing quick landscape sketches? I'm a landscape architect and often need to sketch out ideas quickly for clients. Thumbnails, I would say, and to play with atmospheric perspective a lot. I mean, I guess I could do a real quick. Yeah, Fengzu has good landscape video tutorials. I should probably leave it to him. Get this up right after you finish. I need to sleep because it's 5:40. All right. Well, we won't be able to get it up right after because editing takes a really long time and rendering videos takes a really long time. But, yeah. All right. Well, it seems like that's most of it. So, gonna leave it at that. Thank you, everyone who came and spent your night or morning or afternoon with us. Thanks, Jeff, for entertaining everyone with your awesome art, and everyone wants to or can't wait to see your channel. Hopefully, when you release it, they'll all subscribe. And, yeah. All right. Thanks, everybody. Goodbye.
See you.
Bye.